What a win, faithful. What a win. Let's go. Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman. And in today's show, we will be breaking down the San Francisco 49ers' incredible, stunning win against the Philadelphia Eagles, coming away defeating the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles 23-19. Wow, man. I got to be honest with you guys. I could not even do an instant reaction show. I was just frankly too hyped up. Couldn't calm myself down to be able to get on here without just absolutely screaming during the whole recording. Had an opportunity. It was the first time this season I was able to watch a game with my son. Man, we had some really good memories, some really good time watching this amazing victory. I've seen a lot of 49ers playoff football. This road win, I put it right up there when we went on the road and beat Green Bay in Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers. I actually, just because Philly gets on my nerves, and I think I enjoyed this one even more than that victory. And I know that year after beating Green Bay up there, we did end up going to the Super Bowl. Maybe this road victory will propel us further down this season. At this point, how can we doubt these guys? How can we doubt what they've been able to do against all odds? Maybe this actually is the 49ers team of destiny. Now, before we jump into this thing and start breaking it all down, I first want to tell you guys that I was wrong. I'm dumb. I actually, in this one, picked Philadelphia to win. I predicted the game to be very close until the end, in which, just because of our injuries, I figured that Brock would end up having to force something and the game get out of hand very late in the end. The game was very close, but had the absolute opposite effect. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in and break this thing down. First and foremost, what this win means for the franchise. There's so many things here. So first, this is going to be Brock Purdy's first road playoff win in one of the most harshest, most hostile environments imaginable. Ricky Pearsall wasn't able to go in this game. You did get Trent to go, but which Trent health status really? Is he playing at 70%, 80%? Now, mind you, I'll take a 70% Trent over most tackles in the game, 100% healthy, of course. But this time of year, his age, first hamstring injury he's ever had, obviously he's compromised a bit. And then to have the nightmare scenario of George Kittle going down in this game, getting hurt, rupturing his Achilles. I actually, while I was watching the game, saw the back of his leg, and when he went down and didn't get up, and guys, for a second, I was just sitting there in silence. I looked over at my son, and we just gave that stare like, not George, man. Not right now. Not in this game. And even with that, for the Niners to gut out, persevere through this, and get this win, it's absolutely insane. And I know it's sent the ramifications of this win both ways. San Francisco, what happens next with the Eagles? Will they contemplate firing Sirianni? I don't see that. Definitely a change in guard at offensive coordinator, I believe, is in the cards. The whole spat that A.J. Brown had on the sideline with Sirianni, it's just a weird vibe. It's a weird dynamic. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen over there on the Eagles side, but that's not what this show is for. This is the Niners, and we're talking about how does this impact the faithful. First and foremost, the Niners live to play another game. It's going to be Saturday at Seattle. I don't know the exact time of that particular contest, but unfortunately, it's going to be another short week for the Niners. At this point, So what? What can't these guys do? Like I said, I had my doubts because coming into this game, I just thought with all the injuries, with starting practically 2 linebackers off the street, as bad as we struggled against Seattle, stopping the run, no Ricky, I just figured this was it. This was going to be the game in which the 49ers, they would fight hard, but it just wouldn't be enough to get this one done. Oh man, was I wrong. In fact, I would actually say that based on what I saw defensively, there was addition by subtraction in this one, and we'll break down the defense in a minute. But as far as what the win means for the 49ers, it is a very big deal. You have to understand, if for whatever reason this is our last playoff win, definitely have to consider this season with everything that's transpired, the way that it has taken place, that the 49ers season has not been anything else but an absolute success considering those circumstances. I really feel that this type of win can propel a franchise. This type of victory can send a message to that front office that says, hey guys, I know we had a bit of a retool year, but can you imagine what this team could do with some more good, fresh, new, healthy bodies? What could this team do if you go out in free agency or you focus your attention in the draft to injecting some youth into this offense? I actually finally heard this, and I spoke to this last week, even with the fact that I didn't think the Niners were going to be able to pull this out. I said all along, this craziness about Brock not being able to do anything else for any other team if he was placed in that circumstance, I think is ridiculous. Brock has literally this whole Avengers team that he had, they're all gone, guys. You have a compromised Trent Williams, and that's what you're working with as far as what you would have considered the 2023 Avengers. Brock's out here without a superstar defense. Again, they played lights out. I want to tell you, they played big time, and we're going to get into that. But Brock's out here with an average team at best, doing great things out there. I would go so far as to say, and I've heard this mentioned a few times, but I would go so far as to say, would the Eagles have won if Brock Purdy would have been the quarterback of the Eagles? I'll let you guys debate that out, but my opinion is yes. And the Eagles aren't just the only team. I would go so far as to say, what type of threat would Seattle be if Brock was the quarterback over there? And I'm not saying that Sam's an absolute trash can. I'm not saying that at all about Sam Darnold, but he doesn't have this type of winning pedigree in the playoffs. He doesn't. And I believe this is going to send a direct message to the franchise to say, whoa. This man, Brock, has proved he's worth every dollar and every cent of this $53 million a year contract. Guys, there are dudes right now making the same amount of money as Brock that I don't actually think will have as many playoff wins as Brock will have losses by the time it's all said and done. And I know he had the 2 mistakes, and we're going to get into all that, but this is an enormous win for the fan base, the faithful, the franchise, the players. I really believe the players, man, did it for George. Prayers to George, his entire family. I know how much football means to that guy. And stuff like this, he'll be coming back. He'll be 33 years of age trying to come back from this Achilles injury. If anybody can do it, now I want to be clear, George will probably come back and be even more violent and even better coming back from the injury more than likely. But one has to wonder, will he ever be 110% George? I still believe he could be 100, but maybe not 110% due to how late this is in the year. More than likely, he's not going to be able to go at the start of next season, but that's next season things, and we'll talk next season when next season gets here. Hopefully, we'll be having those conversations in February about next season. But I think the front office has got to get Brock some help. Maybe they go out there and get crazy and go after a big-name receiver in a trade or some big-time moves in free agency. I believe that's going to send that message, and the franchise really is going to need to respond to that. Yeah. So, secondly, let's talk about the game breakdown itself. Let's take a look at this offense, guys. Offensively, the 49ers were able to do much more in the passing game than I initially considered possible against such a good Philadelphia defense. Now, we couldn't run the ball, which I completely expected. CMC had 15 attempts, 48 yards, only 3.2 yards per carry. If you've watched the Niners any this season, that's par for the course. That's really lower than what they averaged during the year, but it's still not great. Brock had 9 attempts, 24 yards. Again, under 3 yards a carry. He also had that fumble on the sideline before the half, which that just made it to where we couldn't attempt a ridiculously long field goal. And in that wind, maybe it was a good thing we didn't even attempt that. Again, that didn't come back to hurt whatsoever. Right out of the gate, the Niners jumped on Philadelphia. And I believe for a second that was one of those body blows where the Eagles were like, whoa, we didn't anticipate this. Right off the bat, hitting DeMarcus Robinson. And it's DeMarcus, man, where you been? Like, we need that every game going forward. He made some big plays. Brock was able to hit DeMarcus Robinson for a 2-yard touchdown in the back of the end zone to start the scoring off 7-0. The Eagles were able, again, coming back, they were actually able to take a 13-10 lead at halftime. There was a big bust on a play where Diamador Lenore got tricked and sucked in, and Saquon Barkley was able to bust a big run to the outside. That was very tough for them just to come all the way back down the field and score on us. They did miss a very crucial extra point. And when you miss extra points, man, they can linger. My man Eddie Pinero, also missed the extra point, but it had really, while I did not want him to miss it, while I would have liked it to be 24-19 at the end score, it was one of those extra points that really didn't matter. The Eagles had to score a touchdown to win the game regardless, and we all know that didn't happen. Jauan Jennings had a couple of monster plays in this game. Of course, the trick play that Kyle was able to draw up for the first play in the fourth quarter with, man, it was special. It was special. It was one of those plays where you could almost see it coming. It almost felt like slow motion when Jauan got the handoff and rolled out. Brock, I'm so glad you didn't try to block that, man. That might have been your season if you would have tried to block for Jauan to throw that pass. He launched the ball, and it just seemed like the ball was up in the air forever. You started to see the wind making the ball flutter, and then CMC coming down with that over-the-shoulder catch. Man, that's some stuff that, I don't mean to be ugly, but how many plays over the shoulder have we seen from 49ers wide receivers this year? I'm just saying. But it was a perfect play call, perfect in the situation, perfect execution. You couldn't ask for anything better. When that trick play hit and we went up 17-16, you could feel it in the air. Like, you could literally feel like the oxygen just went out of the stadium. That place went silent when that happened. And I think at that moment, the Niners believed that they could pull off this game. And then, of course, the go-ahead touchdown pass, the 4-yard touchdown pass on Brock's second or third read in the end zone to Christian McCaffrey is what sealed the deal. But offensively, there was a lot of plays. Jauan Jennings also had a big 45-yard gain, a big 45-yard catch in this game. That was very big as well. While the San Francisco 49ers couldn't run the ball, they were able to stay ahead of the chains pretty much in the passing game. They were able not to have any really bad penalties. The Eagles did have some penalties in the game. In fact, the 15-yard penalty that was assessed to the Niners, I felt, for roughing the passer on Jalen Hurts. It's what was the defender supposed to do in that situation? I know I've heard a lot of talk about the refs were against the Eagles, this, that, and the other. There was a 15-yarder right there that I felt was absolutely, positively not the right call in that situation. Again, what's the defender supposed to do when Jalen takes that late slide like that? He was already right there, but needless to say, that didn't have any impact or bearing on the outcome. And I'm a man, Brock Purdy. He went 18 of 31 passing, 262 yards, He had 2 passing touchdowns in this one, 2 picks, and I'm going to be honest, the pick where he had JJ wide open over the middle and then tried to throw it to Sky Moore, I don't know if he didn't see it. I don't know if he trusted his timing a little too much. I know Brock does a fantastic job of looking off defenders and like throwing where he's not looking, but that was just a bad pass. I love you, Brock. I do. You came back, won the game, but got to have to be real in that moment. That was a bad pass. Also didn't like the pick to Tunges, the pick that he threw trying to get the ball out there to Tunges. I thought the throw could have been better. All of that stuff, and I know that analysts are going to use that because a lot of folks wanted to puff up how good Trevor Lawrence has been this year and you know how good other quarterbacks have been this year and how Brock doesn't stack up to them because of the arm talent or his size. Brock has been doing Brock Purdy things for a while now, guys, and I really feel like he doesn't get enough. He really doesn't get enough credit for the things that he does. I know the picks were bad, but in the got-to-have-it moments, he was calm, cool, poised in the pocket, stepped up, hit CMC for the game-winning touchdown to shock the world and defeat the defending Super Bowl champions 23-19. It's a proud time to be a 49ers fan right now. I'm excited to see what we can do next, this coming up Saturday against Seattle, against a team that I feel that we played as poorly as we could possibly play. I think that this win, despite the loss of George Kittle, this win could very well not only propel us to a victory over the Seattle Seahawks, but maybe the Rams, Bears. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe this is truly the team of destiny. Got to give a shout out to my man, Christian McCaffrey, for having 114 total yards from scrimmage, 2 receiving touchdowns. Again, an incredible grab, over-the-shoulder grab on that trick play from Jauan Jennings. Just a sensational grab. Guy is a Hall of Famer. And definitely going to miss this guy playing for the team once upon a time he rides off into the sunset. He made some big plays, some very big plays. From a receiving leader standpoint, DeMarcus Robinson, 6 receptions, 111 yards. The touchdown early on in the first quarter for the 49ers' first score. Man, we're going to need some more of that. We're definitely going to need some more of that going forward. He got his number called. He stepped up, made big plays. Look forward to him being integrated into the offense more if Ricky Pearsall is unable to go. Really hope my man Ricky can get out there. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for it. But honestly, I don't have a good feeling about it. The good feeling that I do have is that it looks like at this point in time, no matter who we roll out there, it looks like we're going to be able to compete and get it done. Just like Jauan Jennings said in the press conference, and I'm paraphrasing here, he cannot wait for this Seattle rematch. The next point I wanted to hit on, this defense. The defensive breakdown in this one held the Philadelphia Eagles to 167 passing yards and 19 total points. I know they missed the extra point. Don't care. They didn't even get 20. There was a lot of talk, maybe by me, last week where I feared that rolling 2 guys out there essentially off the street. I'm going to be honest with you. I never even heard Garrett Wallow. I know Eric Kendricks, savvy guy, veteran guy, intelligent guy. Trust me, I've seen him make unfortunately, some great plays against the 49ers too many times to not remember who that man is. But for them 2 linebackers to tally 21 total tackles and have the performance that they did, I really feel like they outperformed our linebackers by far over these last several games. And it looks like, guys, we could be looking at an addition by subtraction situation. I actually have confidence going ahead. Of course, the hope is that my man Fred Warner will be able to get back out here and play soon. But the reality is, would that be a Super Bowl only scenario, maybe an NFC Championship game scenario? If those 2 guys play like they played yesterday, I feel like we can do it. I feel like we already held Seattle to 13 points. With that type of line, if we were to play Seattle again and slow their run down, I'm just saying, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic. I just felt as though it's just been a season that's been against all odds. And when you struggle to stop the run so much and then you bring in 2 linebackers essentially off the street, you're going to have a problem. Then, not to mention, my man Siegel gets some playing time because Jair Brown goes down with an injury. Now, never want anybody to be hurt. I want him to make a full recovery. It appears that full recovery may not happen for the remainder of this postseason. And Marquise Siegel came out there, guys, and he made some plays. So are we looking at a possibility of an improved San Francisco 49ers defense through essentially the injury bug? That's crazy, but that's what I saw with my own eyes out there. And you could feel it. There was a strange feeling after the whole debacle between Sirianni and A.J. Brown, them two getting into it rather fiercely on the sideline. It looked like there was a couple of drops there by A.J. Brown. The offense really could not get it all going. And at the end of the game, I almost felt like it was coming that Jalen Hurts wouldn't be able to make the needed 4th down play to win the game. It almost felt like on that drive, no matter what, the Niners were going to come away with a victory, which is definitely a good feeling on the road in Philadelphia. Kendricks was the guy who had eyes on everything. He saw Barkley in there. I know Barkley had that one big explosive run, but for the most part, especially in that second half, Saquon was getting absolutely shut down. Now, I know he took a monstrous hit and maybe had been a little bit compromised, but man, that's Saquon Barkley. That's not an easy guy to stop. And the Niners were able to do that with a defense that can rarely put any type of pressure on the passer whatsoever. So just amazing coaching job by Robert Saleh. I'm to the point where it's like John Harbaugh. It's almost like, what job does he want to take? It's just a matter of where. It's not when. It's going to happen. He's going to get an opportunity to be a head coach again in the NFL. It's just about, if I'm him, I'm being picky. I'm being selective. I'm making sure I make the right choice, because 3 times an opportunity as a head coach, yeah, I don't think that's happening for you, Bob. So we need to definitely take a moment as 49er fans and as faithful and really soak up and appreciate what the Niners have been able to do this season. I've never seen anything like it. I've never heard of anything like this, having essentially your whole team at some just decimated across the board. Even when you've gotten players back, you lose guys every single week. George Kittle, you're talking about an all-pro, first ballot Hall of Famer. My hope is that George plays at the level he's been playing at for another 3 seasons, and he's the greatest, at the end of the day, the greatest tight end to ever play the game. He's gone, and George is not walking through that door. But take it from me, guys, don't doubt this team no more. I made that mistake, and I have to eat crow, and I look foolish sitting up here on this podcast having to admit to you guys that I was absolutely wrong. Won't happen again, though. The Eagles had 140 rushing yards overall, but just didn't have enough timely plays. I can't even remember another big run outside of that one long run that Saquon had early on in the game. But my final thoughts on this one, guys, is that this was a statement win, a road playoff victory against the defending Super Bowl champs. It shows that this 49ers team fights until the end. And even with injuries, the X factor is the heart and soul of this football team. This is a team that believes that anybody that touches that field can get it done. They truly have the heart of a champion, and beat the champs yesterday on national television, and with that crowd and all of those things that were going on. It's definitely a win I'll never forget, getting to experience that type of road playoff win with my son. I couldn't ask for anything more. I'll do a preview show later on in the week for the Seahawks game and do a review of that game and predictions. I'm actually just going to chill out, really continue to enjoy this one, watch some of the other content creators that I follow, look at some of the guys that want to hate on the Niners and hate on Brock Purdy specifically, and really enjoy just kicking back with a smile, seeing what everybody has to say about this one. But as always, guys, thanks for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to subscribe. If you happen to bump into another faithful, show them the video. The love is very much appreciated. As always, guys, take care. Be blessed. Go Niners.